I think we will start. जय जिनेन्द्र एवरीवन, आप सभी का अप्लाइड जैनिज्म के 29वें सेशन में बहुत बहुत स्वागत है। आज का एक मिनट, अमूल भाई, आर यू एबल टू एडमिट पीपल? I think somebody is doing that. Sorry about that. So आज का दिन हम जैनों के लिए एक बहुत खास दिन भी है। आज फागुन सुदी 13 के दिन हमारे 22वें तीर्थंकर भगवान नेमिनाथ, जिन्होंने पशुओं की पुकार सुनकर तोरण से मुंह मोड़ लिया था, उनके शिष्य मुनि श्याम और मुनि प्रद्युमन करीबन 8 करोड़ 50 लाख मुनियों के साथ में, ऐसा माना जाता है कि 8 करोड़ 50 लाख मुनियों के साथ में आज के दिन मुनि श्याम और मुनि प्रद्युमन अपनी गिरिराज से मोक्ष को, कर्मों की निर्जरा करते हुए मोक्ष को प्राप्त हुए थे। और इसी इतिहास के चलते बताया जाता है कि पिछले करीबन 84,000 ईयर्स से जैन्स आज के दिन पालितना की 6 गांव यानी कि 18 किलोमीटर की यात्रा करते हैं। वो ये यात्रा यानी कि सिर्फ मेन मंदिर राधेश्वर के मंदिर तक जाना नहीं, बट पालितना की परिक्रमा करना और उस पर्वत पे जाना जहां से इन मुनियों को मोक्ष मिला था। और लोग इस भावना से यात्रा करते हैं कि हम भी इंस्पायर हो सके उन मुनियों की तरह अपने कर्मों की निर्जरा करने के लिए। और कर्म निर्जरा का सबसे मुख्य साधन बताया गया है जैनिज्म में अहिंसा का पालन, मन वचन काया से अहिंसा का पालन। आज के समय में जहां इतनी हिंसा होती है, और हमने कल ही एक वीडियो सर्कुलेट किया था, हर 1 घंटे में करीबन 3 पशु पक्षी एक्सटिंक्ट हो रहे हैं, यानी कि वो मिट रहे हैं, अर्थ से कंप्लीटली मिट रहे हैं हर 1 घंटे में। और ये हो रहा है हमारे डायरेक्ट और इनडायरेक्ट एक्शन दोनों के कारण। डायरेक्ट यानी कि जब मनुष्यों की जरूरत के लिए, चाहे खान पान हो, चाहे लेदर हो, चाहे कॉस्मेटिक्स हो, चाहे केमिकल्स हो, उनके लिए पशुओं को, पशु पक्षियों और दूसरे जीव जंतुओं को डायरेक्टली मारा जाता है। या फिर हमारे इनडायरेक्ट एक्शंस, हमारी लाइफस्टाइल, जिसके कारण क्लाइमेट चेंज, जिसके कारण पोल्यूशन एंड दैट्स और I mean the overall constructions, etc. A lot of those things, industrialization, which is leading to huge amount of himsa at multiple level. तो जब ये सब कुछ हो रहा है, इतनी हिंसा हो रही है, ऐसे में जैसा आज के दिन तो बहुत ही ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट हो जाता है कि जब हमारे इतने सारे मुनियों ने अपनी कर्मों की कंप्लीट तरह से निर्जरा करके मोक्ष को प्राप्त किया था, तो हम एटलीस्ट कुछ ऐसा करें, कुछ ऐसी चीजें अपनी लाइफस्टाइल में अपनाएं जिससे हम डे टू डे हिंसा को कम कर सके। और इसी के बारे में बताने वाले हैं आज के हमारे स्पीकर रुचिका जी। रुचिका जी, आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद हमारा इनविटेशन एक्सेप्ट करने के लिए और ज्वाइन होने के लिए आज हमारे साथ में। रुचिका जी प्रोफेशनली इंटीरियर डिजाइनर है। उनकी शी इज रिकॉग्नाइज्ड एज वन ऑफ द टॉप 50 डिजाइनर्स, इंटीरियर डिजाइनर्स इन द वर्ल्ड। बट उसके साथ साथ में उन्होंने मेजर किया है इंडियन और वेस्टर्न फिलोसफी में मास्टर्स किया है, along with doing majors in Jainism. रुचिका जी को बचपन से ही अहिंसा की तरह, या कहा जाए तो सभी जीवों के प्रति करुणा की भावना बचपन से ही थी। और जब उनका संपर्क बहुत सारे मुनियों से हुआ तो ये भावना बहुत प्रबल होती गई। कुछ गुरुदेव चित्रभानु जी और प्रमोदा चित्रभानु जी का उनके जीवन पे बहुत ज्यादा इन्फ्लुएंस रहा। And Ruchika ji has been continuously working in not just adopting ahimsa in her life, but also promoting ahimsa. तो वो अहिंसा फेस्ट करके एक जो फेस्टिवल है, उनकी फाउंडर है। ये फेस्टिवल हर साल ऑर्गेनाइज किया जाता है। रुचिका जी साथ में द अर्दन वन करके जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, जो प्रमोट करता है एनिमल्स के थ्रू, एनिमल्स के प्रति करुणा भावना, उनकी भी फाउंडर है। सो लॉट ऑफ वर्क शी हैज बीन डूइंग एंड शी इज अ वीगन। उन्होंने कंप्लीटली डेयरी प्रोडक्ट्स का त्याग किया हुआ है। सो आई थिंक में एक बहुत अच्छी अपॉर्चुनिटी है आज के दिन जानने के लिए, सीखने के लिए कि हम अपने जीवन में क्या ऐसे सिंपल स्टेप्स और एक्टिविटीज कर सकते हैं, अपना सकते हैं, जिससे हम यदि कंप्लीटली अहिंसामय जीवन तो नहीं, बट थोड़े थोड़े करके अहिंसामय जीवन की तरह प्रोग्रेस कर सके। So with this few words, I would request Bipin sir to address us, and then I would request Ruchika ji to take over.
Thank you Sangeeta and Ruchika. बहुत वंडरफुल सब्जेक्ट है आज का, नॉन
I think we've lost Bipin sir, right? सर आपका ऑडियो नहीं आ रहा है। आई थिंक कनेक्शन का प्रॉब्लम है शायद। रुचिका जी, कैन यू हियर Bipin sir? I cannot.
No, I can't.
हाँ, तो आई थिंक ऑडियो का प्रॉब्लम हो गया है शायद, क्योंकि वो बाहर है। सो रुचिका जी, I would request you to take over. I guess
Sure.
is going to dial back in, and that time I'll request him to speak. But yeah, the floor is all yours, and we are all keen to listen to you.
Thank you so much. And a big thank you to Applied Jainism, Bipin Bhai, Sangeeta, for inviting me to come and share my thoughts on Ahimsa, which has been such a strong force in my life. And thank you to all of you who are here today. Ahimsa is probably one of the most beautiful force, right, which has brought us together here today. We don't even know each other, but it is our desire to know more about Ahimsa that brings us together here. And as Indians, we've mostly heard about Ahimsa through our religion or through a philosophy, because all Indian religions, whether it's Jainism, Buddhism, Sikhism, even Yoga, Hinduism, speak of Ahimsa. And the direct meaning of Ahimsa is non-violence. From that point of view, when Islam and Christianity speak about Ahimsa. So it is this, Ahimsa is the basis of most of the religions, but Ahimsa is a religion by itself, because it is such a force that you'll find people across the world might not be knowing any religion, might not be following a religion. They might not be knowing the theory of karma or the theory of rebirth, or might not be believing in that, or maybe an atheist, not believing God. But they still try to imbibe Ahimsa in their life, which shows that Ahimsa it's a universal force. It doesn't belong to just any one religion. And when we believe in this force as a universal force, it brings together people from across the world, from different religions, different backgrounds, different countries, and it melts these boundaries that we have created in our own mind, because Ahimsa itself doesn't have any boundary. It has no walls. We have created the walls. So before I start, I just want to know a little bit from the audience as to what does this force Ahimsa mean to you? And why do you think that Ahimsa is important in your own life? So if you just type into the chat, that would be great. I would love to know what it is for each one. Sangeeta, can people type in? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible. So people will type in a while.
Okay. I think there are people in the waiting room. So do you want to disable the waiting room?
No. We would keep the waiting room, but we'll
Okay.
keep admitting them.
All right. Okay, so I'll wait for 10 seconds till people just type in what this course Ahimsa means to them in their life.
Am I audible, Ruchita, now?
Ji Bipin bhai, I can hear you.
Yeah, thank you very much. बहुत बढ़िया प्रश्न पूछा है आपने. I mean, it's a very important question. I always feel that non-violence is not a part of having a mercy or having a compassion to other, but actually, non-violence is for my own self, because if they don't exist, I will not exist. So
Right.
our first lesson to people should be that non-violence is for my own existence. And if the things around does not exist well, or the living being does not exist well, I will not exist myself. So that's the message which I would like to give it to everybody.
That's a beautiful one. That's beautiful. Ahimsa has to start from ourselves.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I see people writing that Ahimsa has empathy and it is giving a chance to everyone to live and love to other beings and respect to every life, which is visible or non-visible, which is a very important thing, whether the life is visible to us or not visible to us. So it's basically everyone saying that is, Bipin Bhai said it is Ahimsa towards ourselves and then towards others, if I got that right. And while others, everyone's saying that it's Ahimsa towards other souls as well, which is absolutely right. I read this beautiful thing which says that Ahimsa is often translated simply as non-violence, right? If we look up for Ahimsa, it says not to cause violence or not to kill or not to injure, but its implications are far wider. It is more than doing violence. It is more than an attitude. It is a whole way of life. But Ahimsa is such a big, broad thing that it's very intimidating as to where to start. It can get vague, it can get abstract. Where do I start from? Right? So we break it down. Let's break it down. It starts with saying it is more than not doing violence. The first thing we have to do is we want to make sure we are not violent, which none of us are. Nobody goes out and kills. It is more than an attitude. We have to make this like a daily attitude, to the extent where it slowly starts translating into our life naturally and effortlessly. Just the way we breathe without making an effort. Like even when we talk, we don't realize that we are breathing. Ahimsa has to become like that. And that is a long, long journey. So Ahimsa is not something that you practice just on the 8 days of Paryushan or 9 days of Navratri, or just a Mangalvar or just a Shanivar. It's something that has to literally weave into your life. But when we are starting as beginners, or when we have not reached a certain stage, till then Ahimsa can be divided into gross Ahimsa, in which you're conscious that you're not directly or indirectly being responsible for killing something. So I'm assuming everybody here is not meat eating, or even if it's meat eating, nobody is going out and killing the animal directly. But indirectly, are we being a part of something being killed or for someone's suffering? Subtle is when we are getting more and more mindful in our own speech and our thought. So let's say, for example, I disrespect something. That time, I'm actually breaking someone's self-esteem. And I'm also subconsciously boosting my own ego. So in a way, I've caused violence to the receiver as well as to myself in a very subtle way, which I might not even realize. But while speech and thoughts, right, you have to be mindful all the time. And this is literally like a lifetime journey. It takes a long time to master. But one can actually focus on gross, especially in today's time where industrialization, globalization, our ever-growing greed it's not need, but it's greed. You know, this feeling of unhappiness, fear, insecurity, there's war, there's violence, there's hatred. Ahimsa gets all the more relevant in today's time than it was like a few decades ago. Because in so many ways, violence has permeated into our lives, and we may not even be aware of this, or we may be aware in some parts, but we've lost that connection. We've lost the connection with those other living things because our greed has taken over us. So let us start by introspecting our own lives. And it'll be nice if, actually, if you have a pen and paper and make small pointers here, just for, as an exercise, just for you to reflect later on. So if you have one, quickly grab it. And maybe we can start making some pointers. We start with introspecting our own personal lives. Do any of these things find place in our wardrobes? And I'll touch base on each of these individually. And we all know that all of this is coming from some violence. But to what extent is the violence is what I want to share with you all today. Okay. Let me start the first thing with silk. So if you have any garments that are made with silk, like a silk sari or a pure chiffon or a pure tussar sari or, other Indian wear, kurtas, even for men and for women, just make note of, yes, I have, and put an approximate number in front of it, like 15 or 60 or, even 3. So just put a number next to that. Now, the story of silk is that silk was discovered in China around 5,000 years ago, accidentally. Or when this was discovered, China ने ये silk fabric कैसे बनाया किसी को बताया नहीं, वो एक secret रखा. लेकिन उसके जो व्यापारी थे वो अलग-अलग देशों में गए और इसको बेचा. And because it was an expensive fabric, only kings, queens, and aristocrats or rich families could afford it. उस टाइम उनको पता नहीं था कि ये फैब्रिक कैसे बनाए. लेकिन कुछ centuries बाद, the secret leaked out, and other countries started making it. And today, India is world's second largest country making silk. लेकिन silk में problem क्या है? What is wrong in silk? I've also heard that when you go to a temple, when you go for puja, when you go for religious processions, wear silk, wear the best you have. But what is wrong with silk? Well, this is how silk is made. It's made from these silkworms, which actually, after a few weeks, wraps itself in a cocoon that it makes, while it undergoes this transformation of becoming a moth. Or when it becomes a moth, it will break through that cocoon and fly away. So ये जो cocoon बनाया है, वो silk thread है. लेकिन problem क्या है इसमें? Problem ये है कि पहली बात वो जब उसे तोड़ के बाहर निकलता है, तब वो silk के धागे टूट जाते हैं. उस टूटे हुए silk के धागों से मुझे I will not get a beautiful, lustrous, soft silk fabric. It will not be that pretty. And secondly, इंसान को वो time wait नहीं करना है जब तक कि वो उसको silk का thread मिले, because it is a cost. So what do? We take these worms and we boil them alive till the cocoon dies. Now imagine this finger of mine is a cocoon. You can imagine your finger as a cocoon. For how long can you resist putting your finger in the boiling water? कितने समय तक आप अपनी उंगली उबलते हुए पानी में रख सकते हैं? Probably not even a few seconds. These soft, tender things are boiled alive till they die, and then the thread is taken. I think most of us are aware of this and still might be having silks in our wardrobes. To make 1 meter of silk, 3,000 to 15,000 of these worms are boiled alive. Okay, these are insects, and probably we've lost that connection. We think, oh, it's an insect, it's not that important. वो connection नहीं है हो रहा उसके साथ. That is why we are not able to feel that pain. But you know what? This is what the study shows about people working in the silk industry. Now, India is a very labor-intensive country, and labor is available cheap. So people working in these industries are actually poor people, and they suffer from many diseases because they're working with those kind of chemicals and dyes. Silkworms now, it's not that we are waiting for silkworms to produce the silk. Silkworms are now breeded. उसको agriculture के तरह जैसे हम crops उगाते हैं, ये worms को भी हम इस तरह multiply करते हैं artificially. So these people have diseases and they suffer in these industry, but because they are poor, they don't have a choice. There's also an article showing how child labor is used in silk industry. The thing is, we think that our lives, we've started identifying ourselves with all these things which we feel, gives us a status symbol, which gives others the idea that I belong to a certain class. That is our thinking. We've started thinking that way. And probably it's also because of a society, because of marketing. And after a point, you will see people getting very brand conscious. They all want to own some kind of a brand. And most of these brands will use things like leather. So you need to make another note here of, do you have leather, first of all? Secondly, what are the leather things you have? Shoes, bags, belts, bags which probably are canvas, but just have leather handles or leather trimming, watches with leather belts. Sometimes people have leather sofas, leather car seats, and in whichever way we are using leather. And many times you feel, oh, it's just a little belt. Itne mein kuch farak nahi padta. But we all know that leather comes from animals which are 5 sense beings, which are mammals like us. In spite of that, why is it that we are not sensitive to that? Is it because the industry has made us believe that leather is a byproduct, that it's a byproduct of meat and milk industry? And if we don't turn this skin into leather, it will be an environmental hazard. It will sit on the land and it's going to cause environmental issues. So one of the USP of the leather industry is that makes us believe that, listen, this is a byproduct, it's a sustainable product. It's a product that's biodegradable. It can be recycled. It's natural, etc., etc. But do we know where leather comes from? Which animals? Do any of know? Do we know that? Can somebody actually unmute and answer that for me?
Dogs.
I'm sorry?
Dogs.
That's right, dogs.
Camels, cows, buffaloes.
Absolutely right, Dimple. Most of the leather comes from bovines like cows, buffaloes, and their babies, which are called calves. Pigs, dogs. Now, dogs, because meat of dogs is legal in China. It's illegal in other countries, but in India, in China, dog meat is legal. So their skin, again, which is a byproduct, is used for leather bags. So if any of us is using leather here, might actually be carrying that bag which is made from dog skin, who we think is our best friend. The high-end brands will use and they will breed alligators, snakes. There are also bags made from ostriches, many kind of animals. I've just named a few here. But the other thing of the leather industry here is that the skin, the leather bag or the leather product we are using is not the skin itself. That cannot be used. So while they skin the animal while it's alive or semi-conscious, because if it dies and then skins it, the leather becomes hard, it's useless. They then have to send it to tanneries to get processed. And in those tanneries, they use chemicals and they use, other dyes which are very toxic, which pollute the air. And if you know the capital of leather in India, does anybody know the capital city of leather in India? It's Kanpur.
Kanpur, yeah.
That's right, Kanpur. 2018, according to WHO, Kanpur was the world's most polluted city because it has more than 300 to 350 tanneries there. The river Yamuna is actually polluted because of the tanneries, because there are no proper methods of disposing that water. And even the water, if you see the picture on the right where the man is cycling, the water gets frothy like that because of those chemicals. And they either flush it out in the river or they'll flush it out on just on normal farmland. And this water then penetrates into the soil. It pollutes that soil. It goes into the crops of those, which are grown there. And the poor people, when they eat those crops, they develop diseases. They develop, the children there, their reproductive organs get affected. Apart from that, there are a lot of leather trimmings, which are then dumped on the landfill, which sit there for decades and decades and decades. It doesn't decompose. It just sits there. So this picture that you see down there is the landfill, just part of a landfill with leather waste. The people working there, again, a labor-intensive industry. People are poor, work in horrible conditions. You will find tanneries mostly in third world countries, developing countries, where there's need, where there's abundant labor and where there's need for employment. When people work here, they develop lung diseases because of those toxic fumes. They develop skin diseases. They develop, many of them go blind because of those chemicals. After all this, that's when leather comes into the market. So you see, whether it's silk or it's leather, you see the process that has happened. You see how many lives it has affected, right from 1 cent bean to the 5 cents bean. Every life is affected, and not just for that period of time. It's affected for a long, long period of time. So whether it's just that little belt which is on your watch, that little belt has still taken one whole life. It is not taken just part of the life, it's taken one whole life. It still affected people so much. It still polluted the land, water, and sea. The next is the wool. Now here is something we think nothing is wrong in using wool. So if you have wool also in your wardrobe, make a note. Scarves, shawls, jackets, socks, even katashnas actually. Anything that you have of wool, make a note. What is wrong with wool? Well, many times people think that for wool, the sheep is not killed. Okay, fair enough. Let's believe the sheep is not killed. But what happens is it's not a natural process today. It's an industry. So sheep is not making, it's not making extra wool. Naturally, a sheep just makes enough wool that it needs to protect itself in the harsh weathers. But you see that little sheep on the right corner, you can see how much wool is there. That is done because it's injected. It's given hormones where so much wool grows by humans. This has also become an industry where they are breeding sheep. Then in that process, what do? Tail docking. So you see this picture where you see there's blood on the back. That's because the tails have been cut. Or it's because of musing. Musing is where they cut off that skin near the tail from where the wool will grow back. Because because of the feces, if it creates an infection, then the wool will be ruined. So, I mean, they remove that skin. Then the males are castrated for artificial insemination. And 5, while shearing, while removing that wool, their skins get cut. They get wounded terribly. And eventually the sheep is sent to the slaughterhouse for their meat. And it is not that at its end of its life it's sent. No, after a few years, their ability to produce wool reduces. So then if its normal lifespan is say 10 years, in probably 3 or 4 years, it will be sent to the slaughterhouse. So that's about wool. Cosmetics, I don't think I need to speak much about, because we all know that they are either tested on animals or they have animal products. And these are the animal products on the left that it can have. You can take probably a picture of this and go through it later on. In India, animal testing is banned, yes, but brands that we use may not be Indian. They might be, they might be high-end brands from abroad, or we might be picking up from somewhere else, or even cheap brands will be having animal products in them. So brands is another thing. And I think most of us find at least some cosmetic which will be having animal products in it. Coming to our kitchens, I think here is what we need to really make a note of is, I don't eat meat, I'm vegetarian. Then how am I causing violence? What? I mean, how is that even possible? I've been a vegetarian all my life. I don't even eat eggs. So egg, I assume people don't eat eggs. So egg is something I'm not going to touch upon today. But just 2 or 3 things I'll touch upon. One of that is honey. A lot of people here might not be using honey as well. But many of us probably are not aware that many foods of ours does have honey. But what is this thing about honey? Why is honey so special? Okay, and where does it come from? It comes from this one particular kind of bee called honeybee. And this humble bee, actually all bees, does anybody have an idea of how many species of bees exist, or how many species of bees are there?
4,000.
20,000. 4,000 is only in America. 20,000 kind of bees. Many of them must have gone extinct. But yeah, 20,000 of them. And our life actually depends on this small, little, humble creature. This entire human kind depends on this little creature. The food that we get on our plate is thanks to these little bees. Of course, also because of the person who's earning, who's running the house, but mostly because of these bees. And they also economically contribute, because out of 170 crops are pollinated by them and amount to around $70 billion worth of crops that are grown each year. However, bees, we feel that they make honey for themselves, and there's a story that they make enough honey for themselves, but they also make a little extra honey for us. Is that true? No, it's not. They make enough honey for themselves. This is their food. And do you know how we get 1 kg of honey? It is when 1,000 to 1,200 bees have traveled 1.5 to 2 lakh kilometers, which is as good as circling the earth 3 to 4 times. They've gone to around 40 lakh flowers, collected nectar and got it to the hive. Worked day in and day out. The most hardworking creature on this planet is the worker bee. It has a lifespan of 4 to 5 weeks. In this entire lifespan, it doesn't sleep at all. It just works and works and works. And the honey bee makes around 1/4 teaspoon of honey in its entire life. And what do? We take it away. We just take it away from them. And why is it this? Why have they made the honey? They made this honey because this is the food that they're going to use during winter when the weather is harsh. They'll be in the hive, and this will be their food that time. This is their source of energy. They have honey before they set out for work. And we just take it away. And the problem today again is that again, this is an industry. There are beekeepers who grow bees, cultivate bees. They'll get the queen bee, they will chip off the wings of the queen bee so it doesn't fly away. And then they'll cultivate these bees. Now, as I said, honey bee is the only bee which is making honey. I think in India, there are 4 or 5 kind of honey bees. What about the rest of the bees? They don't live in hives. They live alone on other plants and other flowers or trees or, Now imagine what happens to these bees which live alone. When they go to other flowers and then you have this whole swarm of farmed bees coming towards it. What do you think that little bee feels? It's like, suppose I'm walking on the road and suddenly I see a swarm of human beings running towards me. I'm going to get so scared. I'm going to go hide somewhere. This is what happens to that little bee, which is living alone. And because of that, their numbers are dwindling, while the numbers of honeybees are growing. And because of that, many species of bees have gone extinct. Again, one bee, whichever that bee is responsible for, for the life of a certain plant. It pollinates certain plants. It's not that the honeybee is pollinating every plant. No, different bees pollinate different plants. So if that honeybee goes extinct, so does that particular vegetation. With that, whichever other life was associated with it, which other insects or whatever is associated with it also go extinct. So see the kind of repercussion, see the domino effect it has. And why is honey so important? If it's about immunity building, there are many ways to build your immunity. But it's not worth, because eventually it is our existence that is going to get rocked, which is going to be, in crisis. And that's what it is. In UK, some bees went extinct. Immediately the government got so restless, they told people start, growing home gardens, start growing gardens outside. We need to increase the number of these bees, the population of these bees. So honey is not an important part of our life. But see in what all ingredients today honey is included. I understand that in Ayurveda also it says that honey is, it's important, it's good for health, etc. But today it's an industry. Today it has an impact on many other forms of life, which is again going to impact us. So is it that important? Things which will have honey are granola bars, cereals, beauty products, so ready-made sauces, tips, herbal teas, beeswax candle. That is one thing that probably we can decide never to buy, because nothing will happen if we don't buy a beeswax candle. It's definitely not going to make a difference to us. But yes, and if you're just seeing that green dot and picking up something and not reading the ingredients, then there are chances honey is going to be there in that packet. Ideally, we should be reading all the ingredients, even if it's a green dot, because sometimes even under green dots, there are certain ingredients coming from insects, which get listed under a green dot. India is one of the largest producer of beef. And most of the meat, as you see from this, is coming from bovines, which is cows and buffaloes and cows. I know most of the people here are not meat eating, so you might be wondering how is this relevant, but I'll come to that. The population of India at one point had the largest vegetarians. Today it has shifted, and probably the number of non-vegetarians have increased, which means that the vegetarians have moved to non-vegetarians. That is, I think that's a big problem. Somewhere we are probably missing out on teaching our children, what Ahimsa means. And we are not teaching them that we need to connect with these animals. They are just like us, right? They feel just the pain just the way we do. Somewhere that connection is lost, and we need to build that. But remember the leather slide I showed, where the industry says that it's a byproduct of meat industry. But where is the meat getting its bovines from? I understand the poultry, pig, goats, sheep, all of which are cultivated. Sheep we saw goes from the wool industry. Where is the meat industry getting the cows from? Because cows in India are not raised for meat. They are getting it from the dairy industry. And cows, by the way, just on a lighter note, they're very intelligent beings. They have families. They recognize their families. They have friendships. They hold grudges just like we hold grudge against somebody if somebody tries to harm us. They also hold grudges for a few days or for a few weeks. However, why is dairy scary? Something that's been considered so pure in our country. We call it mother cow. Why? What is wrong with it? Today's time again with industrialization, I'll tell you what is wrong with this. Have you ever questioned, where am I getting this glass of milk from? What is my tea that is made from milk? Where is it coming from? When does the cow give milk? Let's say the lifespan of the cow is 20 years. How many years out of the 20 years does it give milk? Can somebody quickly tell me that? Any idea how many years the cow gives milk?
I think 8 to 10 years.
8 to 10 years. Okay, let's say 50% of its life. So if I am 40, does it mean 20 years of my life I've given milk? I'm a woman, I'm a female as well, just like the cow. When is my body making milk?
Only when we give birth to the baby.
Okay, so only when my body, only when I get pregnant, and only when I've given birth to a baby, that's when my body is making milk. A cow is a mammal just like me. Even science says that. Of course, all religions say that. So how is it different for a cow? When does the cow give milk? When the cow gets pregnant and when she delivers the calf. Now, when my baby was born, my body made milk for just my baby, or did it make it for my entire family? It just made milk for my baby. The cow is making milk just for its calf. It's not any different from me or you. It's just making milk for its calf. The perception is in our eyes. We see it as an animal. Nature does not see it that way. Nature sees it as a mother. Like I'm a mother, you're a mother, that cow is a mother. She has made that food for her baby. We believe that the cow is making extra milk, and if we don't take out that milk, there's going to be a problem to the cow. Imagine somebody comes telling me that when I deliver a baby. Will it not sound absurd? Will I not call that man crazy? Anyhow, have we questioned that how is it that there's so much milk? The population is growing, 7 billion people on this earth. Where is so much milk, so much ice cream, so much cheese, curd, butter, and whatever is made from milk? Where is it coming from? And how is so much milk coming? Because how much milk can a cow give at the end of the day? So what is something's being done here? Have we ever questioned that? So what the industry is doing is they are constantly making that cow pregnant, because only when it's getting pregnant, it's going to give milk to me. So year after year after year, the cow is made pregnant. That too, artificially inseminated, forcefully. If anything is done forcefully on a human, what do we call it? If it's done forcefully on a woman, what do we call that? It's called rape. How is it different on a cow? Just because it's an animal, we can do that. And just because it's an animal, it's okay to do that. After that, when the calf is born, if it's a male calf, usually it's for the industry. So it's sent to the slaughterhouse. And in case if it's a small farmer and if it's a Hindu, do you know what they do? They will not kill it. They will not send it to the slaughterhouse. This is an actual story I heard from a farmer. What he does is he would starve that calf for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, till it dies naturally. Because he doesn't want to feel guilty that he killed it, but he will let it die naturally like that. How is that different from actually killing it? So the male calf dies. The female calf will go through the same cycle as the mother, where she'll be given hormones so that she goes faster, because nobody has that time for it to wait. That's that much expense. Remember, cows eat a lot. It's very hard to maintain cows. And then it will be made pregnant again and again and again, just like the mother. After 4 or 5 years, the body is exhausted. So then the cow is sent to slaughter. And that is how the meat industry is sustaining. And that is how the leather industry is sustaining. The foundation is made by the dairy industry. And even in spite of these small farmers in India, if you have to, unlike other countries, have huge industries here. In India, they have these small corporations, they have these small farmers giving the milk to the large dairy. But those small farmers, if you ever speak to them, I've gone into rural India and I've asked farmers, what do they do once the cow starts giving milk? Or what do? They said they send it to slaughter. Do they do artificial insemination? Yes, they do. Do they send the males to a slaughterhouse? Yes, they do. It's not any different in rural India. It's the same. Another cruel practice in the dairy industry is that naturally a mother will give milk when it sees its child. So now the male calf has gone to slaughter. What do? They've taken one dead male calf and they stuff it so that it looks real to the mother. And this practice is called khal bacha, very common with small farmers in India. So when the mother sees this khal bacha, her body starts giving milk. And then who's taking out the milk? We are taking out the milk. Or the other thing they'll do is they'll release, and if you go to these small farms or these other places, you will see that they will release the calf. The calf will come to the mother, it'll start drinking the milk, then the calf is pulled away, and then humans start taking out the milk. So we are completely exploiting these animals. I'm not even getting into the transport part after it stops giving milk to the slaughterhouse. It's torturous. It's very, very bad, but there are enough videos online which can be seen. But this is from that point of view. The farmers in India never come out of poverty, by the way. They stay in that poverty because it's very difficult to sustain these cows. So the small farmers, there's a survey done which says that majority of them are staying in poverty. So we're not even doing them a favor. It has huge environmental effects because for the kind of needs that we've created today for all our ice creams and all our butter cheese or all our milk that we use in the milkshakes, whatever we're making, cream, we need so much milk, each family. For that, we need cows. Where do you keep them? So they start clearing forest. When you clear forest, you're having land, soil, water, air implications, right? Your carbon dioxide level will go up, your soils will start getting eroded, it doesn't get enough nutrients, the rain gets affected, etc., etc. But when you have so many cows in one place, cows give out a gas called methane. And methane is the big part of global warming. More than carbon dioxide, it's this methane which is the dangerous thing. And all of us today are experiencing the effects of global warming, whether it's drought, whether it's floods, whether it's earthquakes, or rising temperatures, dropping very cold temperatures, all because of global warming. It's come to a point, okay, we are literally at the brink that if we don't stop right now, it's out of hand. So we have to think, what is the future that we are giving to our children? What kind of future are they going to have? Will they have enough water? Will they have proper clean air? No, they won't. There's going to be a huge crisis of existence. What can we do? Simple actions. Plastic is, I need not speak about plastic. There's an expert here, Sangeeta, who's probably the master about all this. But these are simple actions we can do to, save lives. Simplest we can do is segregate your waste, please, because it all goes to the landfill. And I had this young girl who was, working with me, and she told me that she went to a landfill and she saw so many dogs and cows eating plastic, and they die eventually. So small things like, segregating your waste. Use soaps and detergents which are made from little more natural products, because those also get pumped into the sea and they kill marine life. trash bags, even sanitary napkins stay on the planet for really, really long. You can either use, there are many kind of options available. Look into that, see into your daily life, what are the things you can change, make a note of these things. As I said, I'm not touching on the egg industry. Pearls is another thing. We buy cultured pearls, but cultured pearl is another industry, extremely cruel. None of this is coming without violence to that particular being from where it's coming. It's also causing violence to humans and also our resources. Here is the thing, in the last few decades, we've seen maximum extinction happening because of this entire industrialization and this entire mind shift of people that, that our needs are growing. We don't question whether it's a need or a greed. We just want everything. So we're experiencing the 6th greatest wave of extinction. Every hour losing around 3 species, around 25,000 to 50 species go extinct every year. From 1 sense being to, certain 5 sense being, except humans, every other species getting affected. I don't know if you're aware, but even some kind of tigers have gone extinct already. We have, different kind of tigers as well. Some of those also have gone extinct. So every life we are affecting throughout. And I know, I understand this is highly overwhelming, right? When you hear about Ahimsa, this whole Ahimsa thing is so overwhelming, and it can be actually very exhausting. If I have to start thinking from, oh, I need to boil my water every day. I need to boil my water twice a day so I'm not killing living beings, etc., etc. It can be very physically also tiring and exhausting. But one thing that we can start doing, okay, Ahimsa has to start from our own selves. So first, understand, if you made a note of things you have, that's fine. Tell yourself it's fine. I have these things right now. Do I need to add on to them? Start being compassionate to your own self. That, okay, I have done things, but I can change it. Start with that intent that I can now start bringing some change. I can now, every morning, maybe you can start your morning thinking that today I want to not cause harm. I don't want to be part of violence somewhere. Today I'm going to be a little more careful. Because this entire action of Ahimsa is very rare. You only find it in people like Buddha and Mahavir. But it's rare. But it's not, it's still a journey that, one can keep evolving in. And it should be in such a way like, you have a chemical reaction that happens, which is irreversible and which creates a complete different compound. So maybe if you have to look at yourself 5 years down the line, you should be you'll be another new person. But start with that intent that I want to make this difference. Ahimsa has to start first from that little thinking of ours. In today's time, it has to start from the thinking, where in every waste we started believing that, humans are the most important. Everything is for the humans. First humans, all other beings after that. This is our ego. That's not the case. We are one of the children of nature. We are part of that ecology. So we have to start believing that I have to live in a way where I'm not affecting other lives. A lion hunts other animals, but only hunts when it's hungry. It's not disturbing the balance of the jungle. It's maintaining that ecology, it's staying within its limits. We have crossed our limits. We have to come back into our limits. Secondly, don't look at a product as a finished product. I go to a mall, I pick up a bag, I just look at that beautifully designed, beautifully packaged, advertised bag as a final product. I've missed the process. I've missed seeing how it has. Today, when we see that, okay, leather, not only from this animal, which was not a byproduct. No, it's not a byproduct. It's gone there because of me. And how many humans it's affected, how much of nature is affected, which generations after generations will be feeling this, the environmental issue. So how many lives is this one bag or this one pair of shoes affecting? Next time, what you do is when you get overwhelmed like this, all you have to do is just pause. Just pause for that few seconds. Okay. And to make Ahimsa dynamic, as I said, Ahimsa is not something you do for 8 days of pollution. When we are on our toes, on the 9th and 10th day, we break ourselves loose. That's not Ahimsa. Those are the days of reflection, probably, of how am I going to practice Ahimsa for the next 1 year and implement it for the rest of my life. Make Ahimsa dynamic, as I said, by probably with that intent of how do I make, cause less harm. The next time, question. When you see something, question. What is it made from? How did it come? What is the process? But just like a talent needs to get harnessed, without harnessing our talent, even Ahimsa has to be, harnessed, has to be nurtured through good reading, through books. Educate yourself, watch some documentaries, watch some books on health, and constantly keep reflecting. It's only when we make that connection, that with that animal, with that being, that Ahimsa will slowly start coming in our lives. How far have we come in this journey of Ahimsa last 5 years? You and I don't have the capacity to hold a feeling like Buddha and Mahavir held, where they felt that we want to elevate every soul from the suffering. But we can start with that little intent that I don't want to cause harm to any being. I want to start being a little more careful in how I speak to somebody else. Be a little less critical. Say something more nicely. And thirdly, Ahimsa can only be practiced if it's put into action. One has to have compassion towards oneself and towards the others. One important thing that you can start doing, or one very useful thing, which has helped me a lot, is by starting journaling. Keep a journal where you write down, where you're starting small. Maybe you've written down things that you're using which is causing harm. Next day, probably, the night you started your day saying that I want to cause less harm today. So the intent is set. 2, during the day, you're making the connection with those things. 3, at the end of the day, just write down one thing you thought, said, or did that you can avoid next time. What is the one good thing you did today so that you feel good about it? And how can I make it better the next day? And have one spiritual buddy. Because the journey, just like any progress, is not linear. There will be ups, there will be downs. Get overwhelmed, you get exhausted, get frustrated. But when you have a spiritual friend or a partner who's on the same journey like you, who's like-minded at the same level, you all can keep helping each other. It really, really helps. This is how we have to make Ahimsa dynamic. Slowly make it into an attitude and slowly make it in such a way that it's just completely interwoven in our life. No effort needed. Because when we are not making that connection with that life, the biggest violence we are doing is first to ourselves. Because somewhere I have silenced my own brain and my own heart. I've killed something inside while I'm making that choice of, where it's harming somebody else. So the biggest harm I'm doing is to myself. And I want to end with this beautiful quote by Gandhi, who's saying that non-violence is an active force of the highest order. We have to make this force active. It is a soul force of the power of Godhead within us. It's just a little spark, okay? That just grows and grows. So don't get overwhelmed by Godhead within us, but it's just start with that spark, it will grow. We are imperfect people. So imperfect man cannot grasp the whole of that essence, like, what Mahavir or Buddha holds. And we cannot bear its full place. It's just not possible for us. As I said, we'll get overwhelmed. But even if we get that small fraction of Ahimsa in our life, that little spark will grow. It will bring light in our life. It will slowly be self-guiding. And it works wonders. Those who are consciously practicing, it's magical. Ahimsa is magical in life. And I want to end with that. I think I've gone ahead of time, but if there are any questions, yes, I'm most happy to take them. Thank you so much for being so patient and listening.
Thank you so much, Ruchika ji. Can I request you to stop sharing so that
Yes.
yeah, okay, we can now see you on the screen. That's good. So yeah, there are a few questions. I know people, कुछ लोगों ने questions chat में already raise किए हैं, but मैं request करूँगी जिसके भी question रहे, can you please raise your hand? और फिर unmute करके आप directly questions पूछ सकते हैं. Shobha ji, you can ask your question.
Thank you very much. This is Shobha, and thank you, Ruchika ji, for giving a very comprehensive talk about Ahimsa and in our daily life. I have two questions actually.
Sure.
Like, I can understand as a mother and a family person that we give milk to the children. Being vegetarians, we think that's the protein that they will get and they need to grow up. And probably the cow magnanimously shares it with us. But are we justified in all these abhisheks that we do on our god pratimas every day in the temples with milk? Are we justified in it? Isn't it criminal? That is, we are misusing the magnanimity or the charity of this cow. And in some areas, the images are so huge and gallons of milk are used for that. So this is one question. The other one is, in today's world, we have so many diseases caused by mosquitoes and malaria, dengue and things like that. Are we, how can we practice ahimsa in controlling these insects which are disease producing? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shomaji, for your kind words. And thank you for patiently listening. For your first question, I want to say that, first of all, for man to believe that the other animals exist for them, or their products, whatever they make they're making for humans, or that we have the right on the products that they're making, that itself is a flaw. A cow, if it would be making milk for us, if you would see a cow, just loitering outside, and if it's a mother, if you try to go close to it, it will charge, it will attack. If it was actually making for humans, it shouldn't attack us. The reason why it's not able to attack us, because we have broken their animals' self-esteem is broken. Literally, whether it's elephants used in temples, they are all tamed. They're all somewhere made to believe that they have to serve the humans. So using it in temples or using it at home, I don't see it any different. It's the same thing for me. If you can't, we shouldn't be taking their product. They haven't made it for us. Nature's made it because she's a mother for her own child. Secondly, for insects, again, it's completely human created, right? These mosquitoes, if there's dirt outside, there are going to be mosquitoes. So we have to make sure we are, maintaining cleanliness. There are some natural ways of keeping mosquitoes away. I'm not too good at all this. But yes, if you search online, they'll show you natural methods. There are also certain products which are made in such a way that they don't harm the mosquitoes or these insects. They just drive them away, they repel them. There are products like that. If you probably look for products which don't harm, or vegan is actually a good term to use, then you will find products like that. But we have to work at our own thinking level first.
Quite right. As a sequel to that, having gone through many, many hours of thinking why what we are doing, whether it's right or wrong. As Jains, we start our compromise with our food to start with. Everything, even the vegetables we eat is a ahimsa to the plant anyway. but we compromise between our survival and the thing. But I think we should draw a line and work within a restrained framework for this compromise. Like, yes, I need to have this for my survival. It is a question of mutual existence and things like that. But then if I have to use that cow's milk or cow's milk for Abhishek, and that goes to a waste, I am denying the calf of its milk, actually, and I'm doing a kind of a homicide to that thing. So we have to draw something. And I think we should make a small little beginning and say that I vow not to do this in my religious rituals from now on as a Jain. And then, then we can start talking about not using the products for ourselves. Like honey, we have done away with it. It's not essential. We don't do it actually. But then many of us are still having milk. So I think we should, as a movement, as Jains, as a movement, must start resolving, saying that I draw a line on using cow's milk. But that's it. Thank you so much for your listen.
One must draw a line.
Thank you.
This is.
I just want to add to that. Sorry, I just want to add to this point. Okay. In fact, a lot of doctors these days do advise milk should not be given to the
I'm
kids.
sorry, but I can't hear you clearly. Could you just be a little louder, please?
Sorry, give me a minute. Yeah, is this better?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, what I have heard is, or what I've seen is, a lot of doctors these days, pediatricians, strictly ask that kids should not be given milk, okay? Because they believe that the human intestine or the human body, again, is not, is not conditioned to have milk or is not supposed to have milk, right? So, yeah, that's just one point I wanted to make. While we think it is important for our proteins and D3s and B12s, okay, it is actually not, and it's scientifically been proven. That's point one. Point two, my thing is that even people who are non-vegetarians still need to consume D3s and B12s, right? So it is not that, non-vegetarian or milk is a source of all of this. If that was the case, it would only be vegetarians who would have to consume these pills and not the non-vegetarians, but that's not the case. Okay, that's the second point. The third point I had was, okay, I think I forgot it. If I recollect, I'll speak up later. But yeah, this is what I had for now. Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, thanks.
You're absolutely right on this. Absolutely right. It's all actually in our mind. There's enough data, there's enough research, there are documentaries, there are books made on, written on how all these animal products, okay, and animal products is whether it's meat or eggs or it's dairy or it's honey, how all these animal products are contributing to diseases actually, and cancer, blood pressure, diabetes, etc., etc. I'm not even touched on the medical industry. Yeah. How then, we fall sick with all this, then we go to medicines. The medical industry has its own cruelty happening. It's such a, as I said, it's penetrated so deeply into our life that it's very hard to touch on where all there is, violence. So I've only touched on big things which are easy to do, which are easy to give away.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Next time you have a cup of tea, and many people think that that cup of tea is most important. I can't start my day without it. Okay, fine. Drink it. Only when you're drinking it, just remind yourself how, just think of that entire process. Picture it like a movie. How has it come to you? And how is it going to affect future generations, which include my own children? Suppose if I'm drinking my cup of tea and that time I start feeling tremors, what will I do? Will I sit and finish my tea, or will I quickly run down the building and save my life? Right? If there's an earthquake, I'm not going to sit and finish my tea that time. I'm going to run, save my life. That's what it is actually. That's what the scene is right now. It is like that.
True. So true, Ruchika ji. We'll take next question from Bhavna ji. Bhavna Shah.
Sorry, this is Ketan here. Thanks, Ruchika, for covering this up. Covering this story. I completely agree with each and every point that you have said. and I have been following, or I've been following this for last many years now, and I have stopped using leather, wool,
Excellent.
and that I've been trying. The one thing that I have actually failed in doing is trying to be complete vegan. Although I tried using tofu instead of paneer, I tried using almond milk instead of regular milk. But at some point in time, it becomes difficult when we are traveling. I mean, because we don't have enough data where we can buy stuff. Like for me, I have been using non-leather shoes, wallets, belts for many years. But the thing is, I have only one or two shops where I can actually shop. uh, if I would appreciate, if you have a list of shops where where we can purchase brand where we can purchase our stuff, because right now I'm literally struggling. For me, one of the main sources is Myntra. I buy stuff from Myntra. There are a lot of non-leather stuff available. I buy from Agio, where there are a lot of non-leather stuff available. But if I want to buy something offline, it's extremely difficult. And also, I try to give up ghee also, but frankly speaking, if we travel or if we go to a restaurant and if we ask for vegan, like the staff will actually scratch his head because he will actually not know what vegan is. There's still a lot of unawareness on this particular stuff. Like people have heard vegan. In fact, people are not even able to pronounce vegan properly. They say vegan or something. So there is a lot of unawareness around there.
Right.
Just wanted to, so in a nutshell, if you have a list of restaurants, list of companies, list of products, even like shampoo, something like shampoo, people may think इसमें क्या animal है, animal harassment है, but I know that
Right.
they are first tried on rabbits. I know that because I've read a lot about it few years back. I used to follow PETA at some point in time. So, but yeah, so I would want a list. If you have something, if you can just share it.
Okay, so I don't have a list that's complete, like offhand ready. I need to work on that. But I do have an Instagram page called The Earthen One. The reason why I call it something like this is because I want people who are living a life that's of non-vegan coming there. So I don't want to intimidate people using terms like vegan and all. And vegan, I anyways feel is a very small part of Ahimsa. But yeah, if you go there, I do have some things showing options for, non-leather and different kind of things. Stores, physical stores, I'm not sure if there are, and I don't know which part of India you live in. There are many online. And there are many, even normal shoes. If you go and ask them, the people there, that if you don't want leather, they do have non-leather stuff. And there are many brands, even in shampoos, cosmetics, even silk, even, everything, there are options available. I understand when you travel, it's difficult, but today's time, actually, it's not that difficult. You might have to tell them, don't say you want vegans, tell them products that they should not put in. Then it's easier for that person to understand. So if you tell them, I don't want ghee in this, and I don't want paneer, butter, cream, then that person understands. But if you just use the term vegan, probably everywhere it's not understood. So many restaurants now in Mumbai and Bangalore understand vegan. They give vegan options. But sometimes you have to actually break it down and explain it to them. And it's a practice. As I said, slow. Just keep telling yourself, I want to keep trying, slowly get there. That's right. Sharan does have a list of places where you can shop ethically. So that's another website. PETA actually will have a lot of stores. If you Google, you'll probably find stuff. But yeah, it's a list I have to work on.
Yeah, thanks. So just in a nutshell, people who want to shop. I mean, Myntra has a lot of non-leather stuff. But for me, so far, it has been single point of shopping where I would want to have non-leather stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Ruchika. Thank you so much for this session.
I've heard even Bata has a lot of non-leather stuff, huh?
Well, it's come to a point where, like, there was a time when Mercedes and BMWs and all only gave leather seats, but then they recognized that people here are asking for non-leather, now give non-leather. So huge brands like Lamborghini and all are also looking for non-leather options now.
Yeah, I know that's true. I will.
That cruelty is so much on the face. It's so much on the face now, thanks to social media and everything, that one can't escape it. And in case if it's still not touching you, keep asking yourself, don't give up on it. Keep asking. Why am I not connecting? What am I missing? Why am I not able to make that connection with that animal?
Yep, I agree. Pradeepa, you have also raised your hand.
Hello,
Thank you,
Pradeep
Ruchika. Kem Cho, all fine?
Majama, all good.
Yeah, I'm fine. I was just going to all your program. The one thing that the question that I would put here is that most of the Jains per capita consumption of milk and dairy product is highest. And Mahavir Swami 2600 years back clearly said to abstain from milk and dairy products.
Right.
But this is not happening. So I think this is the point which has to be highlighted, because this is mostly a Jain group where Mahavir Swami, despite having clearly said to abstain from milk and dairy product in Vigai Tyag and Ras Tyag, why are we consuming and why it is not highlighted?
You're absolutely right. And one biggest thing that Mahavir said was, of course, Ahimsa. For me, the entire Jainism comes into this word Ahimsa, where Mahavir clearly said that if you see violence anywhere, walk away from it. So maybe dairy, 100 years back, how did they keep the cows? How did they treat them? Not relevant today. Not relevant how animals were kept 100 years back. What's relevant is how they're kept today. So
Even
if there is violence, we step back.
Ritika, what I'm trying to say is 2600 years back, when the animals were kept still in much better state. At that time, Mahavir Swami said, quit this product.
Yes, because Mahavir also said that for your own spiritual growth or for your own health benefits,
this is mandatory.
Do Vigai Tyag.
Yeah.
And Vigai Tyag, I mean, see, Mahavigai is something that anyways Jains try to stay away from. I mean, we have to, right? It's not even for any human, that shouldn't even be a choice. But even Lagu Vigai, Dahi, Ghee, Doodh, right? If we must stay away from this. Today, all these things, sugar, oil, all of these things is causing health issues.
And the quantity what we are consuming is beyond imagination.
Absolutely. And this quantity absolutely, this quantity actually goes up during Paryushan, which is the most alarming thing. The 8 days of non-violence has maximum violence of 5 sense beings. We don't want to hurt 1 sense beings, so we don't eat vegetables, but we are hurting 5 sense beings, and how many of them? Like we saw that entire process.
One more thing,
from 1 to 5 sense beings.
What we are consuming in Updan and Varshitap, again, it's all dairy products to a major extent. I mean, flood of dairy products is there in Updans and Varshitaps and all our festivals. So really, we are contradicting ourselves from the teaching of Mahavir Swami. And as far as I am concerned, we have done disease reversal without medicine. In most of the cases, we have done all Vigaitya even from poor non-vegetarians, and they have got miraculous results. So there's a super science of Bhagwan Mahavir Swami, which has to be highlighted to the masses.
Absolutely. And you're doing a fantastic job in that, Pradeep Bhai.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
Ruchika, my observation is on this. Actually, जो हमारे साधु भगवंत है, उसको ये पहले पढ़ाना चाहिए. जो प्रदीप भाई भी कर रहे हैं, हम भी कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि जब तक साधु संत ये बात नहीं करेंगे, तब तक हमारी प्रजा के ऊपर इफेक्ट नहीं होती है उतनी जो होनी चाहिए.
I agree. I mean, आप बताओ मुझे इसमें हेल्प चाहिए हमें और.
Yes, नहीं गुरुदेव ने
हमें और हेल्प चाहिए. अगर वो बोलेंगे तो इमेजिन उनमें तो इतनी ताकत तो उतनी शक्ति है, क्योंकि उनका जीवन ही इतना, उनके जीवन में कितनी अहिंसा है. तो वो जब वो बोलेंगे तो कितना असर पड़ेगा. शायद ये डेयरी इंडस्ट्री को इतना बड़ा लॉस होगा कि उनको वो इंडस्ट्री बंद करनी पड़ेगी.
आई थिंक धीरे धीरे होगा. प्रदीप जैसे लोग और जानने लगे हैं, थोड़ी थोड़ी कोशिश कर रहे हैं. कुछ गुरु भगवंतों को हम समझा पा रहे हैं. But I think it might take little time, to bring them out of their traditional views on the milk and other products.
Yes, I'm very confident on the Jain community because it's such a sensitive community towards violence that eventually they will turn around, and the difference that they will bring, it will be phenomenal.
Right. But जो गुरुदेव ने कहा, I mean, see, today we see many conferences in USA, which is totally without milk or dairy product. The last YJA, Young Jaina Association conference, was totally vegan. So, that's how gradually the things are coming up. and something comes from USA is more accepted in this country. तो लगता है धीरे धीरे होगा, ऐसा लग तो रहा है ये. Might take little time.
Let's hope.
Yeah, I know, Ruchika.
Yeah.
But you people have been doing wonderful work, and I'm sure the things would turn around. May take little more time. That's all. Because traditionally this milk has become a part of our life for many years, and to bring people out of that tradition is little difficult. But I'm sure it will happen one day.
Yeah, it's only a matter of that connection,
Yeah.
Once we make that connection with that cow, it will. And vegan is just not about dairy. It's about, believing that those animals are the same feeling like us. So not to use any animal for us.
It's a very wrong.
Which is same as what, Bhagwan Mahavir says or Buddha says or any religion says. Same. It's just the word is coined maybe in another country. Philosophy is the same. It is not exploiting any animal.
Yeah, Ruchika, so wrongly taught to us right from our childhood that milk is a complete diet, and such a medically also we don't accept this, but it has gone in our brain right from our childhood. Right. Every mother wants to give a glass of milk to his child.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
That's something very funny.
Yeah, when it's actually proven that we humans are actually lacto intolerant. Our body doesn't have the enzymes to digest that milk. So it is a complete food, but it's complete food for the calf, not for us.
Right.
Sorry, one more related point I wanted to say. Can I?
May I know your name, please? Because I'm not able to.
My name is Dimple, and I work very closely.
Yeah.
Yes, and I work very closely with Bipin sir and Sangeeta ji. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. Okay. So one more thing I did want to say, since we are on this topic, see, there even detergents. Okay.
Right.
That's also a huge negative for the environment, because all of this is going into the seas. Okay.
Absolutely.
When I did my research, it shows that all these detergents actually peel off the skin on top of the fish. Okay, which is something that kind of protects them, and they peel it off, and that is another source for even corals and fishes dying, right?
Yes.
Again, corals very important for our environment. I mean, it's predicted by 2050. There will be no corals unless artificial corals are implanted in seas, etc., which is again very bad for the overall ecology. Okay. So I just wanted to also share that, at least for detergents and all, a very simple, like instead of Harpix detergents, even Harpix toilet cleaners,
Right.
just make bioenzymes. It's so simple. It's so cheap. You can take away the entire cost of making, of buying these detergents and Harpix from your budget, and make it at home with absolutely little effort and, huge results. I've just started making bioenzymes, but the smell of that enzyme that comes out at the end of 3 months, it's amazing, right? So it's natural.
Yeah.
It is effective. Like somebody was talking about mosquitoes and all. Aap usi mein camphor wagera dal do. It will also repel mosquitoes and all, right? Even natural plants like your green patti tea and all of that, right? That if you grow in your balconies, okay, that will also help repel mosquitoes. Okay, because those are mosquito repellents. And another related small thing, again, farming is said no in Jainism. Okay.
Simple, sorry. And we have some more people waiting to ask question, and I guess we will not be able to see them. So
okay, sorry. Yeah,
I'll let them ask, and then I'll give you a chance. Sorry.
But there are options, even if you can't make bioenzymes at home because of time constraint, there are products available which are not harmful.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Bye.
Not Dimple, sorry. I'll give you
no
a chance.
No problem. Yeah.
Yeah, I think let's take questions first.
Yeah.
Yes,
Sunita, I know you have been waiting for some time. You raised your hand.
No worries. Thank you, Ruchita. I'm a vegan since 2010. I used to be the biggest meat eater alive before. But I transformed my life 360 degrees. I was not much of a milk drinker, but yes, I used to have cottage cheese. But I realized when I changed overnight why I did it. And when you connect the dots, there is no question of having cravings or anything. I believe strongly that if you really connect the dots and know why you're doing it, no matter what you are and how you've been brought up. I'm half Portuguese, half Indian. I've been brought up on meat. I'm a Christian, and Christians generally eat meat every Sunday. This is all it's all brainwashing. I mean, you have to know why you're doing, and once you know it's wrong, it's literally harming the animals. It's not your food. It's creating mucus. It's inflammation. Animals are sentient human beings. There is no logic to say, I've been brought up to drink milk. Religion tells me Krishna drank milk and had makkan, and Christ never, for example, Christ himself never propagated milk, never propagated meat. Most of the religions I know don't propagate that. But human beings have brainwashed us to think Ayurveda has said we have to have milk. Ayurveda has said to have milk as a medicine. And that also to some people. I'm in touch with doctors all over the world. This thing of Ayurvedic, I have a lot of my Hindu friends telling me, but Krishna had makkan, so I can have. But Ayurveda is saying I can have. This thing of A2 milk, A1 milk, it's the same as it enters the body. So if it's creating mucus on A1 milk, it will create mucus on A2 milk. And you're still milking a cow, which is not your mother, not your food. It is, so, I mean, human beings, literally, they talk nonsense. They have to just, they go, we are educated human beings. And yet we talk like, as if we have got no brains. I'm sorry. I just get so passionate and irritated with people who are supposed to be the most, we're supposed to be the most, what do you call it, intelligent species alive, but we aren't.
You're absolutely right, Sunita.
The most ignorant species alive on two legs.
You have to have that compassion towards them that time, because we are lucky our journey started early. Their journey hasn't started. Have that compassion. Sometimes people learn from.
The problem is, compassion is now. It's taking. We have to move fast because we, as you said, animals are getting extinct. Bees, vultures, tigers, lions, rhinos. I mean, where does it stop? Seals. Human beings they're getting worse, and thankfully we've had. I mean, I shouldn't say this, but COVID brought a real eye opener. As much as it took people's life, it had to. Otherwise, we were just going on a rampage. We were destroying.
I mean, COVID is also because of us, right? All these
exactly half of the Amazon was getting burnt because we decided we want to invade that territory, and half the people, the Aboriginals over there, have been pulled out. The shamans over there who have been worshipping the land, who pray to the plants and to the. You can't do that, and we are creating such a bad karma for ourselves. So I think this the only thing
the layers, right? The layers to every product that we get. It's not just it's not just milk coming from the cow. It's not just leather coming from somewhere. There are so many other layers that are being created.
Yes, and the main thing they say is, Ruchita, I'm getting calcium. What calcium are you getting? It's leaching calcium from your body. Most countries that drink calcium, Germans, all my German friends have osteoporosis and they drink milk from birth. And I told them, so where are you getting this thing? And then they realized, yes, oh my God, we used to drink glasses of milk as children at night and in the morning. And we have osteoporosis. So why are we getting osteoporosis? Because milk is supposed to give me calcium. And then they realize
this is like another. In fact, I have a very good doctor, Sangeeta, coming from US, who are pioneers in working towards reversing diseases in the month of March. So maybe for health, if you want to hold a session for that, you can let me know.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. Thank you.
Absolutely, Ruchika. That's a great suggestion. I'll connect with you offline.
Sure.
I'll understand more. So yeah. Anyone, if you have any questions, thoughts, anything you want to share?
Can I just say one thing? Why is it that eggs were pulled out of this topic? You mentioned you're not mentioned eggs, and people consider eggs vegetarian in India. So why have you not discussed that?
There's so much I didn't discuss. Because one of the reasons I pulled out eggs is because I thought most of the audience here wouldn't be having meat and eggs. And the reason why I just spoke a little bit about meat was because I wanted to connect the leather and the dairy industry to the meat industry. But I assumed, yes, egg is another extremely no less than dairy, extremely cruel industry. And I'm also aware that a lot of vegetarians have started consuming eggs either as omelets also, but also in form of cakes. They don't bother to ask. They are okay to consume it, but do look up. I had a time constraint. I could of course go on longer, but this was how much I could cover. But egg is another, horrible industry. And of course, cholesterol causing. So Yes.
And the
I
best way
agree.
to describe it is call it chicken periods. Then people stop automatically.
No, people are aware that hens give eggs when they're when they get their periods, but they still want to have it because they're so brainwashed about protein. We are all
Brainwashed, yeah.
basically products of marketing. We've all become products of marketing. We've stopped using our own our own brains. We don't even listen to our inner voice when our heart tells us, something's wrong here. No, we silence it all. And that's what I meant, that the biggest violence we do that time is to our own self.
Correct.
Because we silent our own voices.
Yeah, it's only when we get sick, that's the time we wake up, and then, oh my God, then they realize that we've done so much of harm. But why should we wait till we get sick? That's my point.
Yes,
Why is it that a doctor has to tell you stop milk?
Exactly.
That's stop this. So if we are intelligent species, we should do it for ourselves. But okay, if people want to get sick and then do it, then that's their prerogative. I don't understand it.
Do we
But
have
thank
any
you so
more?
much.
Sorry.
No.
Do we have any more questions, Sangeeta?
No, I don't think there are more questions. At least nobody has raised their hands. So there were.
I had a list of documentaries actually, which I didn't show. Can I just share my screen for a second?
Yeah, and I think most people on our group would have already seen those list of documentaries. But
okay, fine. So anyways, one can just type and, on Google also and see it, whether for these documentaries. But Cowspiracy, Game Changers, Racing Extinction, Maa Ka Doodh is actually made on the Indian dairy farms.
Right.
So if we believe it doesn't happen in India, then Maa Ka Doodh is a movie which is for you. Sleighs on leather. So Earthlings, showing all kind of industry. Yeah, these are some of the movies. If you want to get inspired, watch Game Changers.
Right. Yeah. True. I guess a lot of people here, I'm assuming, would have watched, if not all, at least a few of them. And they're trying to, I guess most of us are trying to learn more and practice more. See, I think the challenge is, it's just, I mean, I don't know whether to call brainwash or whether it is ignorance, because बचपन से वही सुनते आए, right? At all places, whether it's family, whether it's school, whether it's social group, that all these things are okay and it's required. अब जैसे बचपन में, I mean, the first essay that most of us would have written, गाय हमें दूध देती है.
Yeah.
And the feeling that we all got is गाय सहजता से दूध देती है, right? I mean, we always thought that, I mean, that's why that creature
I always thought cows give milk all the time. I met recently somebody who told me that's what she thought.
Yeah, exactly.
She's an adult. That's what she thought.
I mean, I also thought that way. I mean, until a few years ago, to be honest. And recently, when I was discussing with Saibji, I mean, she also said, I mean, that's the case. गाय दूध देती है. And a lot of people get into this discussion, debate कि यदि वो दूध नहीं निकाला गया, यदि वो surplus दूध नहीं निकाला गया, तो it's dangerous. And then there is this, so that's, I mean, most Jains, they get into that kind of a debate. And more importantly, I think people are just not aware that education has not been given, whether it's in schools, whether it is in religious schools, or whether at family level. So I guess
today, Sangeeta, there is enough awareness, it's not that people don't hear it. Today, they do hear it.
Now it's happening,
somewhere
right?
We've killed our own instincts inside, right? We've killed our own, that feeling and that connection or being sensitive to somebody's suffering. We've killed that own thing of our own selves. That's why we are not able to accept it. True. Why is it that a Westerner, he's not even studying Jainism, he's not studying Hinduism. They give up their meat-eating people. They give up things like this in no time. Why?
I agree. True. No,
this is the power of Ahimsa, right? Ahimsa doesn't depend on any religion, but every religion uses Ahimsa. But Ahimsa is a power and it's a force by itself. If we identify that, then you will not find excuses.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, ancient Chinese medicines, uses exotic animals for medicines. They use manta rays. If you know what manta rays are in the sea, the manta ray meat is horrible, cannot be had. But they use the fins of manta rays for ancient Chinese medicine to cure cancers. Is that acceptable? No, here we will say, no, that is not acceptable. But Chinese people do, it's not acceptable. But if Ayurveda saying use honey, oh, that's, Ayurveda says it. We have to. But we are not even going deep down into Ayurveda. That When do you use that honey? How should that honey come to you? How should it be? How should it be sourced? Are you following Ayurveda to the T? Are you making sure you're not eating all these other foods which are causing all these other doshas in your body? No, we've only picked few things from Ayurveda. Our body is not in balance anyways with what we are eating and what we are consuming. We are only taking what is convenient for us and what is easy for us.
Yeah, I agree completely. So with this one request from Shubhati.
I can't hear you clearly. Your voice is breaking.
Can you hear me?
No, your voice is still breaking. Till I get Sangeeta back, I'm going to take this opportunity to say, even look at the crockery that you're using in the house. Make sure it's not bone china, because that's made from the bones of animals.
Well, the cat.
Sangeeta ma'am, your voice is not clear.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Is it
now
better?
it's fine.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Okay. So, Ruchika ji, what I was saying was there's this request from someone to list those movies. While I said it would be there in our group, but someone wanted it here on the chat. So, if you have it handy, can you post
Can
it
you
on
just share
chat?
the screen? I'll show the slide and she can take a snapshot.
Okay, you can share it. I think you must be having a right to share, right?
Oh,
Still?
okay, okay. Just give me a moment, please. No, it doesn't.
Or you
For
no
all
longer have a
participants. I'm not sure.
Okay, so what I can do is alternatively, I'll request people to join.
Let me just see if I can copy paste it and put it on the chat.
Yeah, please.
Where do I see the chat option?
You should be able to see the chat option at the bottom.
I got it. Okay. Yeah, I think someone's put that as well. Okay, I put that. Okay, yeah, I put that.
Okay, yeah. Fine, thank you. So now with this, I'll request.
I would actually want a call on action. If in 3 weeks whoever starts practicing, just get back to Sangeeta, send her a message saying that you started something or you're doing something about it. That'll be great.
What I'll do is I'm just going to post our group link and I would request people to join and give us that feedback on the group. That would be awesome.
Yes, please. If you get stuck somewhere, please reach out. If you have any more questions, reach out later.
Yes.
I actually have the producer of Cowspiracy, Dr. Sailesh Rao, who's just come to my place right now. And he's also done movies like What the Hell. Thank you so much, Rinku. But yeah, see these movies actually. These are amazing. These are absolutely amazing. And see it with an open mind. As I said, Ahimsa is a universal, it's a force by itself. So see it from that point of view.
Okay, awesome. So Ruchika ji, I would request you to also join our group so that you can then see action from people and that way there can be interaction. I'll send you the group link separately also and I've posted it here on the chat message also. Okay.
Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for being so patient.
1 second. Ruchika ji, we'll do one last thing. So I have my colleague Nehal ji here. She's going to propose a word of thanks. It's really been a wonderful session, but yeah, I do want her to kind of list out the key takeaways for us. Nehal ji, over.
Jai Jinendra, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, Nehal ji, you are.
Yeah, Ruchika Chitrabhanuji, it was a really eye-opening session. It was a wonderful session. I, on the behalf of Applied Jainism, where we try to follow non-violence and Jainism in our day-to-day life. We are still in a learning phase, and with such kind of sessions, we try to improve ourselves. And this was really a great one. Like I myself have decided to cut down on milk, and mithai is of course made out of pure milk. At least we can do a bit from whatever we can. Honey, I have stopped since one of last one sessions like this. Many other things like leather products, what you had said, the whole bag is of cloth, but there is a little bit of leather, and we don't mind, we buy it. But now onwards, we will be more open while we are buying the things. That why to have a little bit of leather also. And it was really an eye-opening session. Thank you for a very good session.
Thank you so
and we will
much.
definitely try to, as Sangeeta ji said, that keep on asking, and you said, why not you ask yourself that why you are not able to be in connect. So we will definitely try to do that. If we have not given up certain things, we'll try to ask ourselves why we are not able to connect. That was really great suggestion from you all. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you so much.
Over to you, Sangeeta ji.
Yeah, thank you, Nehal ji. Thank you, Ruchika. It was an excellent session, and as Nehal said, I think why we are not able to connect, that's the key thing and key takeaway for me from this session, and I guess for everyone, because we all know a lot, but why are we not able to practice at that level? And that's the question that we need to keep asking ourselves. But yeah, lots and lots of useful insights, information, practical tips. It's like having that spiritual guru. I know I could relate to that slide so much, that you always need someone, because there are going to be those ups and downs.
Yeah.
So I would say every bit of it was wonderful. The calm and composed way in which you presented the entire presentation, that's also something for us to really learn from. So thank you so much for being here and giving your time, and thank you everyone for being with us so patiently all throughout. I know we've almost taken 2 hours of your session of your Sunday today, but I hope this was useful, and I hope we all collectively make progress at individual level and also are able to make progress at the society level.
Thank you. I think Ravindra ji had a question. What about plant life? Can I quickly touch base on that?
Yeah, sure. I don't know if he's still there. Yeah, he's there. Please do that.
So it's awesome, Ravindra ji, if you can even, stop causing harm to that one sense being. As I said, Ahimsa is a very big thing, right? Our final goal is there. But to start with that, I want to eat this, I won't eat this, I won't eat this, I won't do this, I don't do this, I don't do this, then what do? उसी से इंसान थक जाता है और फिर वो कुछ नहीं करता. So start with small steps, start with big things which are easy to do, slowly coming down to this. So each one's journey is different. Each one's capacity is different. Each one has to do it according to their own selves. So, but gross that's the reason why I touched on gross. It's the easiest to work on. And slowly, if you can, it's great.
Yeah. So I think he's trying to listen. Ravindra ji, ये आपके क्वेश्चन का जवाब था. I hope आप सुन पाए.
I'm not sure about the correct answer to this, because plant also needs oxygen and water. So they are also, live alive so objects or whatever. So
but
I don't know.
The entire choice that we are making, we are affecting every form of life, including the plant life. So first we have to look at our own actions and the magnitude of harm we are causing to every sense being. Slowly start, as we slowly start withdrawing from that, we are actually not causing harm to that entire, entire category. Maybe it's plant life, 1 sense being, 3 sense being, 5 sense being. So as I said, it's depending, if one can even give up plant, not have, fruits and vegetables.
It is difficult. It is difficult to live a life, no?
Very difficult, right? It's if I have to go tell people, just do ambil or just eat once a day,
Yeah.
or just do this or do that. It's difficult. And in today's time, where the urgency, there are 70 billion animals being killed worldwide. We are not even counting silk beans. We are not even counting egg industry chickens. We're not even counting fishes. Just these 5 cents being 50 billion, population of humans is 7 billion. So this is the urgency right now, that how do we first save these and then move to small? And if we can't connect to the 5 cents being, how are we going to connect to that 1 cent being?
I know. Anyway, thank you very much for very excellent talk by you. Thank you.
I hope you can put something in practice.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll try.
Yes, please do try.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you,
Lovely.
everyone.
Have a lovely Sunday.
Yeah, with this, we'll close today's session and we'll be back again next month with another topic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Something. Okay, make the plant live.